Well, hello, hello. Before we do anything else, let's get into a map and let's see some profane bloom pops, because that's the whole reason why you would change from necro to occultist. For that, I'm gonna use the setup that I've been using for a bit, from like 98 to 99 for XP. So it's just gonna give us a bunch of monsters from the breach, and there's the, the evolution scarab stuff as well. And then we're just gonna, see some pops. Yeah, let's hop in. We're gonna look for the evolution shrine first. It's a little bit awkward without having phasing, which I'm gonna get to. There it is. There's the shrine, and now we can get hop in. All the breaches as well. Whichever one is like closer to us. You can see the big juicy profane bloom pops. Sometimes it's like a really big group. It's gonna be thinking for a little bit. I don't know if it's PC side, server side. I guess it's gonna be server side. I think like this big one. And there's the boss, and what's gone. And I missed the hand. You know, like there's like a bunch of mobs that I can't get to because they are away on the other side. So I guess most of it, when I was doing it on Strand. Like not ideal because there's this whole strip all the way through. I'm pretty sure the pops are louder than speaking voice. I don't really remember what to take here. We still have 20 seconds on the evolution shrine. So I gotta remember that it's there. Then I pick it up for the other half of the map, basically. So let's clear this out, and I could go and show it on like tier 17. It's basically just the same thing, and in tier 70 you can get like a bunch of life modifiers, the monster life. And you end up... Ooh. The Nebrus ring. Whatever this is. I mean, these both look awful. But anyway. I've yet to find a single good one this week from the Reflecting Mist, so... I don't know. Clicking it for fun, I guess. And yeah, let's go back to the other one and clear the rest. But yeah, basically... there's regularly get like 100 and something, like 150, 160 for monster life after all the modifier effects from the ancestry pieces. And if I was still necro, then it would be really rough, right? So we would just sit there and wait for the mobs to die for so long. But with profane bloom it doesn't really matter, right? Because you're basically scaling your damage as well with the more monster life there is. So you just don't mind it. Aside from like the map boss, because like one boss it's gonna probably take a bit longer because of the more monster life, but aside from most itself, everything else basically died at the same time, at the same pace. And, it would be a bit smoother if I had phasing, for example. I think I barely got it. Oh, see, I went from... I think I was like 2%-ish from 4%, so I can get like 2 to 3% in one map, the 16 map. This is pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna, whenever I find the time, I'm gonna run some maps with these, and then eventually I'm gonna hit level 100. Then we see anything that I'm really like just pushing very hardcore. So like the next point that I get, the last point. There's nothing really at the moment that I am like really pushing towards. It's gonna take some time, and I'm gonna do other stuff as well. So yeah, I think the map is done. So this is gonna be basically the, if I can click it, this is gonna be like the gameplay portion of it. Probably gonna do that, or I have another idea to go show. I mean that's basically whatever I do is just the same thing. You've seen the pops, and yeah, that is the main point why you were swapping into occultist, I'm pretty sure. And okay, let's look at what's going on here. Well, this is kind of in the way. Gonna get rid of these. Of course, the map affinity is full. Gonna go here and quickly somewhere. I'm just gonna throw it here. Nobody cares. Just saw that. Okay. Now we are ready. Yeah. So weapon, same thing. Not exactly the same because I swapped to the occultist, and you could run. I've seen other people obviously run spirit offering instead, and then you have this desecrate spirit offering in the weapon. But I am like doing something else, so I don't have it there. So I don't have the trigger craft on it, and instead I have hits can be evaded, which means that I get this point here, and I can use it for somewhere else. The others, I didn't craft the other places because I need empty suffix when I wanna, in case I ever wanna do the other thing, the trigger, because that's a suffix. So I can like basically swap between those two if I ever wanna change. But for now, this is what I have. So I just have whirling blades, faster attacks in there. Helmet is the same. This is like the only 4-link that I have that I can actually use for this. And you could, as you probably know by now, like you could do something like either like drop maybe returning projectiles, which is gonna be very awkward, or life gain. You can get like a synthesized base that has a life on hit implicit, and then you can do 3-link lancing steel, and then you can move some stuff around in case you need the 4-link for something else here. But now this is the spot that I can use it on. I had the different helmet. I mean, same thing, the same dark monarch, but with a different role. It cannot be blinded, but it doesn't really matter because I mean I can be evaded anyway. So what's the difference? So yeah, blind doesn't really affect me anyway, and I needed the high energy shield because as you can see, I'm kind of caring. I care about energy shield now as well, and I'm gonna get to that in a minute. For the reason why I care, obviously the chest is +1, so get the gems, and then you can get this to like 131. If I 130, yes, 131, and I had a 30% necklace here, but now I have a 28 because I really wanted that last 1% for the max res. So I found one. I think it's 10 div, obviously without the anoint, because the anoint is also, I think it costs like a few div to put on there. But you have some wiggle room because you need the 128% here to hit the breakpoint. So basically you have like a little bit of wiggle room there. So you could like do something like you have a 30% here, but then you can get a 2120 instead, or like even a 2020 if you're like only caring about the quality. It's like obviously that's much cheaper if you wanna get that way, get through that way. So like my point I'm trying to make is that this one was like 45-ish div, and then there's the enhance +4 that you need, but then you can get away with a lower holy relic, or like the not a 2123, but just a 2120, and it's much cheaper. So it's like, but it's still more expensive overall. But like obviously in this, but just you have a few percent that you can move a little bit, which is what happened here. So I have 129, so I still have the breakpoint, and I only have 28 here. I lose like a little very tiny things, like for example I lose one projectile on the lancing steel, and I think that's like basically the only thing that matters, or like a very like small attack speed loss here. They have a little bit less quality, but aside from that, nothing really matters here. In that way, belt still the same. I swapped the catalyst to resistance over the attributes, because I don't care about attributes, because I have a supreme ostentation still. So I did that. I still have this, the bubonic trail. Like this is like the only thing that is like a little bit different from the other builds that I see. And it's not even really like a meaningful difference. But I'll get to that in a sec. What I did with that, I made the gloves. I made like a little bit of better gloves. Maybe it wasn't even worth it. It's probably not gonna sell for 70 by just lowering the price gradually. Anyway, I just grabbed the warlock gloves. Looked for obviously best like 100% 100% base, and then I just threw a hollow fossil on it, and then we had basically that, and just ended up with this. I was using this for a bit, but then I thought like I want like a little bit more life, and then I grabbed the warlock gloves with a fractured life for the 8, and then I ended up messing about with it, and ended up here. I did a bunch of add-rich annuls, and then exalt, and then annul, and then exalt, and then I crafted the percent energy shield, and it was a low percentage, so I ended up, add-rich annulling it again because it's a prefix, and then basically those two are the ones that I would remove anyway, because obviously the flat big life is fractured, so I can't remove that, and I don't want to touch the suffixes, because then I remove my socket and then I can start again. So I'm not sure if it's necessary to do 3 crafted modifiers here, but this is where I ended up at, and ideally I would want that fire and chaos to be at this point cold and chaos, and it would be great if it somehow ended up becoming like a 15, like a top roll, because because here's the defense, and it's 75% chaos res, and then obviously if I have progenesis up, then obviously I'm way over. As you can see, like 75, and I balanced it like, okay, 75 is just good enough, but then I realized, wait, if I get the necklace with the max res, then it's 76, and then I'm still missing one. I don't really have anywhere else so I can, where I can fix this. If I really wanted to like throw divines on this one, that might actually be like a relatively painless way of doing it, actually. I only care about the chaos because it can only go up from there. So that's actually probably better way to do it than trying to remake that, because if I try to annul, then I might remove the socket, and then so it's probably would be remove all the crafted, but the energy shield percentage is top roll, and then who knows when I'm gonna get that again. So yeah, it's a bit awkward, but that's that. And obviously swallowing is still swallowing, and one thing I wanted to look at is the essence here. So yeah, this is what I've been using, right? And with this, like, resistances are still capped, but the reason why I was looking to do this, because one, obviously you have the Vile Bastion, so if I have energy shield, I cannot be stunned. So that means I'm basically I freed up this suffix here. And I don't have to use the stun immune flask anymore. And the whole reason why I was doing that is the blue altar, because the blue altars have that one downside that is minus cold res and lightning res, and I've seen them go up to as high as like 60. Which is why I said that if I could, like, you know, hindsight 2020, go back, do it again, the fire and chaos res would be cold and chaos, because then with this, even if I hit 60, I am still above it. In practicality, it probably won't matter that much. It's just, you know, like if I have 90% on all res, then I don't really want to go below the 90 res. So yeah, that's why I would like a few more percentages in the cold. It doesn't matter as much to the fire or on the fire. So yeah, that is that. There's, like, you know, immunities here, basically crit immune, 95%. I do have in the mercenary, obviously you have the guard, which has nearby enemies cannot deal critical strikes, but there are times when it's not gonna be nearby enemy, especially like if there's like something and I run away, and then I recall the mercenary to me, then it might not be, you know, nearby to the boss. And then I still have basically crit immune, not entirely crit immune because it's not 100%, it's only 95%, but it's basically the same thing. Bleeding avoidance, ignite avoidance. I actually solved ignite with jewels. So there's this one that is 44, and there's another one that has oh, I actually have this one. I might this I might, you know, remake or redo it into something better. Like these two over here could be better. And I think that's already fine. Like few more life, few percent res maybe, or a little bit of flat phase or flat chaos or something like that. Or obviously you have the jackpot of the wither that has enemies you wither have -2% to all res. I think that's the mod. But yeah, for the ignite it's 44 here, and there is another one somewhere that I'm trying to find. There's the other one, and then with those two I have 84, and then I still had a little bit more that I needed, so I got this life, poison enemies on hit, and I just needed just that tiny little bit of ignite. I did pay like 6 divine for this one, but I needed this one like specifically because I needed the magic one for the boots. And I haven't talked about anything. Ring is just, you know, this is the ring. There's like one dead mod on it, of the flatworm, the life regen. If that was like a res or something, that would be ideal, but doesn't matter as much. I think it's a good enough ring. And the thing that, so like that's basically gear. The tree is gonna be in the POB anyway. I ended so like when I've seen how other people do the transition, or like when I've seen like the main example that I've been looking at what he's doing is Baylor Mage, obviously, as I've mentioned it previously. And I've seen everywhere that people end up having to take this socket here and put a third cluster in there. And then supposedly I would have had to cut this side because, you know, originally you would go through here and then you would have the hubris in here, and then you would transform this node, and then you would transform potentially this node, and then obviously like once you're here, you're taking these two, and then you have 5% and 8% life there, which is very nice. But the one that I ended up getting is one that it fits here, and then I'm taking these 2 points and the stun lord here, and endurance charge generation is here, like very elegant, I suppose. And I was already traveling out to here, But then I see like if you're going this way, and if you have to take this and make the cluster there, then you basically have to cut this side, because you can't reasonably like, cut this side as much. It's like this is a bit awkward, like going through here. But I mean, I have to go through here because that's where I'm starting. I have to travel to this side, so this is the shortest way. And then when I'm here, like if I cut off that top side, that's kind of awkward because there's a jewel socket there, and there's pretty good life nodes here, 6, 10, 6. There's a 20% for the minion damage. So this is how I ended up pathing here. And it's also kind of a remnant of the Abyss strategy, right? When you wanna take the wheel for the caster mastery, which I am obviously not doing anymore because I just can't really fit it into the tree. But here I was able to drop the leech, minion leech, because I guess I have minion leech here from Feasting Fiends. That's that, and obviously no offering mastery because I'm not running offering anymore, at least at the moment. So I got a point there. I was worried that I've heard that you would have to cut some of these rune grafts, but then I realized that I have 100% poison hit, I have place for the jewels, I have basically everything I need. I was able to take the part that you have to take because this is like how you solve the block issue, right? Like the way that you get to 70. I guess it's not 70. It's not 70 on the spell block because you have to swap this one from max chance to the other mastery that you see here. So that's why it's like not 70. It's only 68, which is 90 or 88, 89, something like that, because you have swallowing, so you have lucky thing. So it's not you're gonna see it in the POB. You're gonna see it in the POB that it's there. And this is after all this time I'm gonna get to the main point that I did differently, is that I wanted to keep bubonic trail. I see other people what they're doing, right? You can just have basically boots with hollow fossil craft, so you have one abyssal socket. But like the dream boots, that's so hard, because dream boots would be the onslaught implicit, which is I checked it and it was 60 div, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna maybe check it out later, and then I checked it later, it was 90 div at least. And then you still have to, on top of that, you have to craft the abyssal socket there, and if you wanna getting onslaught with abyssal socket fracture, there's like so hard and so expensive, unless there's like some trick, I guess. At some point maybe there was some trick that you can like maybe get back the base. Yeah, I think there is a trick, actually. I think there is a trick. So it's like it's not dead. I think I've seen something like that. Right? Like when you miss the fracture and there's like a way that you can get back the base. So I guess that then it's not that big of a deal, but then still you don't know how long it's gonna be until you hit it. Right? Because then you use a fracturing orb and then it's ruined, and then you have to get back the base, and then you have to use a fracturing orb again, then if you miss again, that kind of stuff. And I decided that instead of all of that, I'm just gonna keep bubonic trail, because there is the increased reservation efficiency of skills while affected by a unique abyss jewel, which is obviously true in this scenario. And what I did is that I needed to take this part here as well, because I needed the 12% there, and I needed one enlighten here, and I needed another enlighten here, because I needed enough mana left so I can resummon my holy relic. Because like I'm in a content and my relic dies somehow, and I have to resummon it, but I can't resummon it because I don't have enough mana. Then I'm gonna be like, okay, I could go ahead and maybe disable, for example, vitality, and then I have enough or something, but it's very awkward. So I wanted to balance it in a way that I have enough with everything active. And yeah, so basically I needed this for that, and I needed the Runegraft of Treachery, which means that there is discipline here. Discipline, if it affects my enemies, I don't care, because I'm dealing chaos damage, which bypasses the energy shield, so I don't really care. Tempest shield only affects me. It's not so they're not gonna get the block chance and everything. And same here, Flesh and Stone affects me only, Arctic Armor affects me only. Vitality, they get the vitality, but again, I don't really care, because, you know, 12%, like 12 life per second, yeah, it's not very relevant in anywhere, basically. And yeah, I basically end up feeding all of this because of this jewel. So I ended up grabbing this Watcher's Eye, and I was looking for one that has both, because I mean, I would thinking, okay, I get the one that has energy shield on hit with the discipline, but then if I get that, then might as well get the other one as well. I get the hit on vitality, even though I already have the 56 here, you know. It's not like I can only use one Watcher's Eye anyway, so might as well get one that also has another useful mod for me. So I ended up with this. So that means I have that 26 life there, and then the 56 life here. That goes to the life on hit. And then I said the 28 energy shield per hit with the discipline. And that is why I made it so I can fit in discipline. You could do wall discipline as well. I mean, it's like same thing, but it doesn't really matter, because I'm not really going for the recharge on the energy shield. I'm going for the energy shield on hit. That is my recovery, and the other recovery is the bastion, while a bastion from here. No, not here. Here. So yeah, it's also kind of cute that, you know, energy shield increased by chance to block spell damage. So I get a bit from there. As you can see the example, if I deactivate that, I have 2k, 2.014, and then I get like a 200-ish more, which is not, you know, not anything huge, but it's something. But and like that, yeah. So basically, this is the reason why I did all the enlightens and keeping the bubonic thread and that kind of stuff. But the main reason was that I just wanted to use the item, because yeah, because I wanted to use the item. So yeah. So this is the gear. These are the flasks. Like I said, I swapped this one, and there's like a very, very marginal benefit that might be useful at some point, which is that I have with this, I have, obviously I'm not capped, but this is like, this setup, quote unquote setup, is like for rushing to the boss, basically. So like, let's say I'm doing a tier 17 or something, right? And I wanna go to the boss, so I can eliminate the boss altars for the blue altars, right? And I just rush there. Preferably I don't really take much damage, because I'm just rushing to everything. But it's like without that, if you just look at those two, I'm rushing through with 30% and 34%. With this, it's much better. So like, it's yeah, but it's when I get to the boss, right, and I'm just swapping back my flasks, and I go back to all this. This is like, it's probably not something that I'm gonna do much at this point, but that is another like low-key benefit of doing that. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Let's look at the Mercenary. It's gonna be in the notes as well. Dying Breath, you can't really get anything better than that. You can't even do like Kingmaker stuff here because you need a staff basically for this mercenary. You can't equip certain types of items on it. Garb is still here. It has the cold res that I actually need to cap it out. Theodoid is damning. You have the gentle touch, and it has the despair on hit because apparently, even though you have the additional curse, the mercenary just won't realize that they can just curse again. And as for from what I've heard, even though I haven't really paid that much attention to it personally, but they are not really using the curses. Like they're not really using despair because they're like, oh, I already cursed the target. But yeah, and that is why there's a despair corruption on that one. Here's the belt. This is where the big 25% fist to fire on the enemy damage comes from, which is super relevant for us because that's like a massive chunk that we get to convert to fire, and we have 90% fire res, so obviously that's gonna be a lot more to the fizz max hit. And yeah, this is just for res. This is interesting because like ideally you would want the non-conditional, right, for the non-curse auras increase effect, but that was very expensive and hard to find and all that stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get the next best thing because I only care about it when I am fighting bosses anyway, so it's not that big of a problem that it's conditional. But then what I've heard recently is that they work anyway every time because you're counting as a pinnacle boss or something, or maybe it's just for a unique enemy, but it somehow counts you. So even if there is no situation that fulfills the condition, it's just active permanently, which is like awkward because it's not like I'm intentionally doing anything here, but I think it would be also kind of crazy to expect that I'm gonna get rid of this and I'm just gonna get a different one because something doesn't work the way it should. So I don't know. Point is, I didn't get it because I knew about that, but then after I got this and I've used it for a while, then I've heard that might be the case. So that is like a little bit awkward, but in the grand scheme of things it probably doesn't matter as much overall. This is the obviously influence, and then got rid of the last rights because we have Void Beacon now, and that means that just plop Sovereignty on it for another 10%, and that gives us overall a bunch of that chaos from the envy. And I'm gonna be like, full disclosure, the flat number that is in the notes in the POB, that is not something that I calculated. That is what I've seen, that apparently it does that much or it has that much, and I have like basically the same thing, or like basically the same anoints and items and whatnot, so mine should also be kind of similar. But overall for the POB, it's more like defensive numbers that are like more reliable. Like that's the part where I look through the config to see what is ticked in with the boxes, and I didn't wanna have confusion in that part. But for the DPS, I don't know. Like it looks fine. You look at the feared that I did a bit earlier after the swap. That was already fine. And then just generally speaking, I don't really know what is the right condition to showcase single target with it, because as you've seen earlier, right, if it's not single target, if you have packs of monsters, then profane bloom activates, it pops the monster, it you know, kind of chains, as far as I know, right? So it just clears everything, and that's that. So in that case, like, even though those numbers, those DPS numbers aren't really like quantifiable as much when everything is, you know, blowing up left and right for percent HP damage. So it's mainly the single target where it's like quantifiable. But then there isn't really like a target that is, you know, adequately showcases it. Because there is like tier 17 bosses with a bunch of more life, and that takes a while. Like I'm sitting there, and that takes a while for me to take down. But again, does that mean that, you know, that should in any way be a detriment to the strength of the, or the evaluation of the strength of the build? I don't know. Maybe, you know, for some people it is. Like, maybe if you're not insta blowing up 160% monster life tier 17 bosses, then maybe that's not a good build anymore. And if like that's, if for those who like that's the standard, then, you know, that's that. But then obviously, if you're going into that territory, then you're probably not even thinking about poison builds anymore, right? Then, because then you, if you want that kind of damage, that kind of numbers, then you go for hit damage that gets applied right away, and then that's like a different kind of build. Honestly, if I like wanted to get like a stronger build, I think, yeah, I could, you know, relatively easy to transition when I'm already here on the character into the Forbidden Rite of Soul Stealing something, because I see it everywhere as FROSS, and then I'm not entirely sure what is exactly the name of it. But, you know, like, that's the big meta thing. And that will also probably be more just, you know, defensive overall, because you can just get higher numbers with the life pool. But I feel like I've basically done what I could overall, because there's the, you know, block, like swollen block, basically like capped as high as it could, like aside from like this one missing 2% chance on the spell damage block. Aside from that, that's capped. The, you know, resistances are 90%, and, you know, there's progenesis, so obviously that is a big mitigation factor for all the damage. Well, hit damage, obviously. Like, if it's not hit damage, then progenesis doesn't help. And I have, you know, Arctic armor here somewhere. Arctic armor here. That's less physical damage, stationary, which is like, it happens basically all the time, right? Even if you're moving and running around, it happens most of the time. We just have to be stationary for a little bit for it to activate. You don't have to like sit there and wait for it to activate. You have to be, boom, stationary. So that's that. And there's also the Session Stone, which is why I wanna like run up to their faces so they are in the circle. I just have it in sand stance permanently, because there's no benefit from the blood stance anyway. Right, so I could like swap it, but it doesn't do anything. And yeah, I have that. I have life, I have energy shield, I have a little bit of ward there. And yeah. another thing that you could do, and that I've seen that might, you know, net you a bit more. You'd also try to set up a melding angle, right? And then you can only run, like, for example, only a sapphire flask, and then you try to get a bunch of gold reds. Like, I've seen someone do that. They are running adorned, and then they have two jewels, like, you know, two corrupted magic jewels that have +2 to gold reds each, and then you have, you know, the high road adorned, and then you get a bunch of max res from there, and then you can run melding, and that means that you basically have two flask slots that gets freed up, and then you can run like basalt or armor. What's that called? Yeah, granite. Yeah. Granite. You know, it's like this one, and I guess I don't have. I do. Okay, so like that one. Like more armor. Wait, did that change? Oh yeah, that was changed. That was changed, I guess, because that used to be like a different multiplier. But I guess it's armor. But I guess we don't really scale armor much, as you can see, 1,000 armor. So I guess that's not really an angle that you can go for. So I guess it's more just, you know, having like a as high life pool as you can get. You have the different sources of mitigation. But generally speaking, it's like obviously the physical hit, like the physical damage. That's the kind of the weak point. I mean, you say like weak point, but it's like it's still 40k. It's just like it's not like it's terrible or anything, right? Like 40k is max hit, especially like for like this type of situation or this type of build. I don't think that's that bad, and also the chaos is around that part. But the elemental is obviously much higher because I have the 90% max res. So yeah, I think I've talked about basically everything that I wanted to talk about, right? Yeah, like there's the tattoos. That's where, you know, the bleeding comes from. This is where, you know, the red dream. My bad, the red nightmare get the block, and then there's the cute thing with the Namahu tattoo. You get the 6 fire reds, and that gives you 63% to the block, and that's how you have everything capped. And then there's this. You have to take that wheel. Like not very great. This one is basically dead. But you basically have this node that doesn't do anything. You have this one for 3, and then this one for 8. And I took this one, right? The one thing, the curse, the blasphemy, because my mercenary is the one that is cursing things, and then also you could, you know, I could do, and I could have the person hit ring, and then I wouldn't need this. But then that, you know, that gives additional difficulties to the gearing process. So like, for example, maybe I would have to, instead of the life per second, I would have to also have the curse on hit. I'm not even sure if it's a suffix or a prefix, the despair on hit, but I feel that's like I don't know, kinda awkward. So yeah, it's just, this one is just very nice. Obviously this is also not something that I came up with myself. I was just like, you know, watching a Baylor Mage video, and it's like, oh, this is nice. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is actually really nice, because you have everything cursed for the profane bloom. It's like, that's important that you have everything cursed, because then if it's only the mercenary that has to, you know, curse the enemies, then you don't really get as much pops. And with this one, it's just great. You just hit everything. And the main reason, and I'm gonna, you know, wrap it up with that, is that the main reason why I really like this build, and I, you know, ran it back, again, is the whole on hit thing. That you're like, no, not leeching, you're not regening, because like those are subject to all sorts of, you know, map mods and penalties and whatnot. But all this on hit stuff, it gets to bypass it because it doesn't have a rate, it doesn't get reduced rate, it doesn't get anything, it's just there. You do the hit and then it's there. And sometimes it feels like cheating, if I'm being honest. It just feels like cheating, that I'm like bypassing things that I'm not supposed to. But I guess at the end of the day, that is what the game is about. You figure out how to basically cheat the system. Obviously, I'm talking about like quote unquote cheating, like not actual TOS behavior, but it's just how to bypass basically the things that the game throws at you. And that is, I feel like, what's happening here, right? Because you have here on hit, I get so many hits from lancing seal of spraying, 13 proj, 14 if I have 30 quality here, but 30 to 14 proj, and then they go out and then they also return. And it doesn't matter that there is a, you know, a penalty here, for example, for the damage, because I only need the hits. Life gain on hit, I get a bunch of hits. If I have something that I can target and I am not in 0 life, I can come back basically instantly from nothing, just by attacking. Same thing here. Chance to unnerve. Doesn't matter if it's a low percentage. I hit so much that I'm gonna proc it anyway. Also here, maim. 5% chance to maim on it. Doesn't matter if it's really low, because I'm gonna proc it, because I have so many hits. And even here, like this one, I don't think it really does anything. The blind, in my scenario, right? Because it's less accuracy and evasion, but I don't know. It's something, but again, it's only 5%, but it doesn't matter because I'm gonna proc it anyway. So yeah. And the same thing with the vitality and discipline on hit from the Watcher's Eye. So yeah, that is that. And I'm pretty sure that I am like done with the upgrades and all the stuff. There are like tiny things that, you know, you could do, right? Like fixing these to be better, but then you're very much getting to a point where you're like spending tens of divines for a jewel, and then, you know, is that really worth our time? This is the jewel with the corrupted blood cannot be inflicted. So yeah, again, I can't really find a better one. Unless it's like very, very expensive. And again, don't really see the point. This one I talked about with the ignite immunity. That's how I have that. And yeah. This one's the hubris. This one is the red nightmare. This is the flash and flame. And yeah. I think overall it's pretty good. Pretty nice in the end. And I don't really want to change much anymore. So like I said, maybe get, you know, the 100 eventually. Have one more point that I can, you know, throw somewhere. Not really sure where. Like this is the one that I took on 99. So I can like maybe have the extra 30 life there. It might not be very, you know, very efficient. I could also, like, there is the thing that you could do maybe on 100, is I could just go back, respec the bandit stuff into oak. Because if I take that in the end, then it's 30 and then the oak is 40. So there's like plus 10 lives there. So that is also something that I could do. I probably won't. I will probably find out some better use for it on the 3 instead. But yeah. That is basically the end of the road. And yes, there is the crit one. There is the crit version for the relic. I think there's you run like Spirit Offering, and then you like here and there you get crit scaling, and then it kind of matters as well, or it could matter because you not only have the envy, you also have zealotry here. What's this damage and critical of spells? I think the thing is, I think the spell, it's spell damage, what the relic does. Yes, triggers a spell, short cooldown, so zealotry buffs that. So yeah, you could also go the crit angle with it, but like I said, I don't think I'm gonna do that, because I think I'm done, and I don't really see the point of swapping that. Maybe I'm not gonna say that I'm definitely not gonna make like a new character, or I'm not gonna touch this or anything, but I don't really see it at the moment. And one more thing for the mercenary is that I have met others that had both zealotry and envy, but my issue is that they didn't really have a skill that just had as reliable hits as a soul rend here. Because a bunch of times I see my mercenary that is just using the soul rend and just shooting it out, which is a good thing, because I need them to hit. I need them to hit the opponent so they can curse and they can call. So like if there was like a possibility, right, with like soul rend, and if that could have like multiple, like if this GMP was here, for example, that would be wonderful. But so far I think I've seen like 2, maybe 3, I think it's 2 zealotry envy, but none of them were like better at that, like at actually hitting the enemy with skills. So I still have this Tanya, the summoner, as mercenary. So yeah, we've seen the stats, kept on res, and that's that, basically. All right, it's been almost an hour, at least like 50 minutes. So yeah, I think I'm done. Like a whole yapping hour. But I'm just gonna put the POB in there, and then I mean obviously for most people that's enough. But maybe
what have you got?
Maybe I can like end it with the Chayula. Might as well grab those. And I'm gonna end it with the big Chayula. Here you can also see the pops. And might as well pick up this one because I use that because I don't like losing XP. And yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up with this. You can also see the pops. I'm pretty sure that I would be just struggling in here if I didn't have the pops. Just by the way that you apply damage with poison, or the way that it resolves. So, and also if I didn't have pop, then I would most likely need to use the quartz flask here. I would not be able to get away with not being able to pass through the mobs. But because I have profane bloom explosion, then I don't really care about it, because then I just blow up anyway, and then I can pass through. stuck a little bit.
A little sliver of anarchy.
And here I'm just standing. Even, you know, press for Genesis if I want. Like, oh yeah, oh, I'm shooting at the wrong target. Yeah, see, like all these, I don't really matter. Okay, we got nothing from there, and yeah, that's that. All right, now it's been an hour. Overall, I've had a lot of fun with the build. It had like a nice progression. I know, like I know that I'm slow in some ways with finishing this up, because like we are actually quite far into the league, but yeah, I've just been having fun, enjoying it, and yeah, it's a good build. It's a good build. Even obviously the necro version as well, especially, it's better to start out with that one, and then you feel like you can transition to the occultist version, then you can do that. But I'm pretty sure even if you do occultist version just purely having profane bloom, you can just get away with just having that. And this, like, if you really think about it, you could even go, like, it's crazy if you think about it. So if you at cruel, you have profane bloom and void beacon, and you can just have that cruel lab. That is actually crazy. So actually, maybe it's not even that terrible to start with the occultist, but you need this part to cap block. So yeah, if you want to do that, you probably need like at least this part. Yeah, I feel like you need, for it to be comfortable, you need, like, you need the unnatural strength pair, obviously. You need the red nightmare with this setup, with the tattoos. So that means that you have to be able to afford the tattoos. That means that probably ostentation is also necessary, but at this point they're like relatively cheap. So yeah, I can only vouch for going into the build from the necro angle. But I don't really know how it would feel like if you wanted to start from the beginning as occultist. It would probably not be smooth. So I can only recommend going into it as a necromancer, and then transitioning later. All right. So yeah, this is it. POB will be in the description. Like I said, DPS config, don't worry about that part. It's you can figure it out yourself if you really care about that part, but it's more like, gonna be a feel based evaluation, right? Like you go in and you see that you have enough damage, then that's good enough. For like a defensive part, that I try to configure it properly. So yeah, that's that. It actually ended up being an hour, which is definitely not efficient use of my time, your time, anyone's time. But yeah. Alright. I am finally out of here. Bye bye.